Good night, everyone. It's December 8th, 2020, and with this we start the show Confirmado la Moncloa, a review of the Spanish political situation. It will be around 30 minutes long to focus on a few ideas. As always, we will start with a comment of the day. Today's comment is the Congress's new website. This evening we talked about Meritxell Batet, and I think we'll talk more about her tomorrow or the next day, and we might even find some surprises. Well, Meritxell Batet, the president of the Congress, has had the website of the Congress to be updated. It has been €1.5 million to do that. I think it must be the most expensive website in Spain. Still, the statement of assets of the representatives of the past terms are still not visible on the Congress's website. What sense does it make to put the declaration of assets of this term if you don't put the other past terms? For example, like her, that she has been during 8 terms one of the representatives of the Congress. Well, Miss Meritxell Batet, we really think that the thing about putting the declaration of assets in the website public service should be to be able to contrast and to compare with the past declaration of assets and see if anyone has taken advantage or been a beneficiary of public money during how many terms. Is this transparency, Mrs. Batet? Or is it just a coarse way to not show the reality and the truth to the citizens? Well, we demand, even though we're no one for you, we're just simple citizens that we could be just doing anything like watching TV, working, or doing anything we'd like, but please publish and put at the disposal of the citizens the declaration of assets of all of the representatives. Because we want to know if some of these representatives have just made out so much money and become rich because of their job as a public representative. Because hiding the declaration of assets of the past terms is just not being transparent. That the job of representatives of the Congress and the Senate has just become an unworthy way to just get rich from public money, from the citizens' money. That some of them are just incompetent people that have gotten into political parties for many, many years just to get money and to get rich from the public money of the citizens. And that these representatives wouldn't have the style of life they have if it wouldn't be because of the money they get from being a public representative. Mrs. Batet, please publish and put at the disposal of the citizens the declaration of assets of all of the public representatives of the Congress and the Senate, of all of the terms that the people have been in office, so that we can compare. Because we want to know if they're really doing their job as representatives or they have just been trying to get money, public money, to get richer. And Mrs. Batet, don't keep on hiding what some of the representatives have been doing with the money. With this, we now start with the headlines of the day. Today's first headline is the accusation of President Guaido of Venezuela against Zapatero of violating human rights. Zapatero, a former president of Spain. Remember, some of us have always said that Zapatero was one of the worst presidents we have had here in Spain, until we had Pedro Sánchez. He is even worse, though both unworthy and cut from the same cloth. Also, both of them are just liars. Second headline of the day, Morocco's king, the one that some think that he just doesn't respect human rights, but has considered Pablo Iglesias a non grata person, banning him from going to Morocco on December 17th. So if the King of Morocco is banning Pablo Iglesias of coming to the visit that the President Sánchez has with him the next day, 17th, and that President Sánchez is okay with it, and this only means that our external politics is affected by subversive elements that don't help with Spain's image. The third headline is that even the police have said that the term that Minister Iya has used to determine who can see who in Christmas, that's the term close people or intimate, is just going to be an easy way to just everyone go wherever they want with no restrictions. Fourth headline is that the European Union is the sole opposition of Spain. The European Union has put an ultimatum on Hungary and Poland to decide about the budget of the European Union. Some might think that that's something helpful and to benefit Spain, but remember that the budget don't only benefit Spain, and we should also see what is the amount that Spain would receive. The budget is a benefit for Europe. With Spain's drift, it is normal that some countries don't see it clear, like Poland, as we mentioned today, that their constitutional court is going to prohibit or ban the Communist political party. Remember that the Communist political party is the equivalent that we have here in Spain, where it would be Pablo Iglesias and others. And if Poland, after all, does ban the Communist Party, we might see a turning point in Europe. Well, we will start with the first headline. As we said, President Guaidó, though he hasn't been elected, but is recognized by so many countries, even from Europe, accuses Zapatero of violating human rights. And Zapatero's position as an intermediary isn't something easy with Maduro's regime. Because we should all know who Zapatero is. He has no knowledge, no studies, and before Pedro Sanchez, he was just the worst president we've had in Spain. And every time that he tries to manage an international situation, he just shows everyone and proves that not only he was a terrible president and terribly managed Spain, but he doesn't even know how to manage in a decent way an international situation. Also remember that Zapatero is the one that's being investigated by the USA because of Zapatero's relationship with regimes that are not democratic, like the Venezuela of Maduro. And it seems like his future is going to be really, really black. And we hope that unworthy people like Zapatero and Pedro Sanchez end up in prison for many years. Not only because Guaidó says that Zapatero is violating human rights, but it's obvious that Zapatero is having a benefit, an economic one, from the misery of another country. And we think that that is just something we cannot accept. And with that, we enter the second headline about Morocco. Though we might think it's not the most democratic and the most respectful about human rights, it is Morocco, after all, the one that keeps stabilized the south of Spain. And even from Morocco, they can see the devil that we have here in Spain. So the king of Morocco doesn't want to know anything about Pablo Iglesias, and he even bans him from the visit that's set for December 17th with the government of Spain. And the government of Pedro Sanchez is accepting the terms. This only proves the weakness of the Spanish government, because Pablo Iglesias is an unworthy person to take him to any country. Because if his actions were worthy, Spain, the Spanish government, wouldn't just have accepted the ban on Pablo Iglesias by the Morocco king. And with that, we enter into the third headline of the day, is the fact that the police have said that the term that Minister Iya has tried to define as close people or intimate people for Christmas isn't the most accurate. Because Minister Iya has said that everyone knows what a close person or an intimate person means. Someone that's not family, but that's close enough. But that will only make people travel even more during Christmas, because we can just say we have a close person we want to meet during the Christmas days. And that is just going to be an easy way for everyone to just start meeting when it's supposed to be a restriction. Some of us think that to say you can meet with close people, it's better to not say anything and just allow people to meet like they do in other countries during these holidays. And it is true that here in Spain, for example, Catalonia is a bit behind other communities like Madrid, but that should only make us see that we have 17 governments trying to figure out and manage the situation instead of the national government trying to put some simple guides for all of the communities to follow. And since we have 17 governments trying to manage the situation, it's normal that some of them work better than others. Instead, the national government is just trying to put some restrictions that have no sense at all, just to try and cover up the negligence that they're doing all the time and also the incompetence they have. And that takes us to the other headline, where the European Union is the sole opposition of the Spanish government. Also remember, the European Union has put an ultimatum on Hungary and Poland because they want to veto the budget of the European Union. Remember that in the European Union, any country can veto the budget of the European Union. Some people think that the ultimatum to those countries that want to veto the budget of the European Union is to help Spain, but don't get things wrong. There are many countries in the European Union that want to approve the budget and not to help a regime like the Spanish one right now, because Europe does understand and see that the Spanish government is exceeding its powers with non-democratic ways and goals. And the truth about the ultimatum to Hungary and Poland is only to reinforce the unity of the European Union. And even if the European budget is approved, we will see the control that the European has over Spain, because they are watching really, really close what Spain is doing, like for example with the judicial power, because of the investments and because of other many topics and things that the Spanish government is doing. After all, the European Union does not see the drift to the extreme left wing as something good. After all, also remember that the Constitutional Court of Poland is trying to figure out a way to ban the Communist Party there. The equivalent of the Communist Party here in Spain would be the party of Pablo Iglesias, also Bildu, and also the ERC political party, and maybe some other political parties we have here in Spain. Because in Europe they know that democracy is what keeps everyone united. What unifies Europe isn't the dictatorship of a few, something that seems like they want to implant here in Spain, but don't know how to do so. They want to implant a dictatorship here in Spain. I would like to highlight that all of the political class this year, not only the government but also the opposition, what they have proven is that they are total incompetents and lazy people that don't know how to manage anything at all. And it is something that someone at some point should condemn this. And in this case, for example, even Morocco's king has done it. But don't doubt that Europe will not allow that this low level here in Spain stays in the European Union. Today has been a day where people that maybe aren't the most known, like Guaidó in Venezuela or the king of Morocco, have doubts about the democracy here in Spain. And that is something that should make us think that we are in a really, really bad situation and that we must be vigilant to the next moves. Here in Spain has just been proven that the government is just incompetent and also the opposition. And we think that near close we will start to see some kind of light and that things might start to change. Zapatero was a total failure. Sanchez is a total failure. Pablo Iglesias is a failure. Pablo Casado is a failure. And Spain must stand up and see what kind of country it wants to be. Well, with that, we finish. We will keep on going here in the program. We will also keep asking Meritxell Batet to put the declaration of the assets of the representatives in the website of the Congress. We will also talk tomorrow about Meritxell Batet and maybe some other representatives. And we can assure you there will be many surprises about them. And this program, this show, will just keep on going, whatever it takes. And as we say, stick around, or here in Spain, seguimos.